No, not yet. Okay, 3-4 notes, slope words, and direct variation. Here's what I need you to understand. Direct variation is going to be something we talk about. It's going to be a specific type of line you see on your graph. It's the line that goes straight through the origin. That's always a direct variation. Anything that goes through the origin is a direct variation. But what we're more focused on is the fact that it goes hand in hand with slope. So we're going to finish up our slope today, meaning we're just going to talk about words and word problems. And then we're going to see if we get into the direct variation notes on page 19. If we don't, we don't. But if we do, then you'll be able to do your whole homework. If we do not get to page 19, you will be able to do the back side of your homework only. Understand? So, nod your head at least. Okay? So, slope words. Slope words, there's 3. You already know them because you cheated. What are they?
Per each and every.
Per each and every. Okay? But here's what I need from y'all. I need to make sure you understand why these are slope words. They're called rate words, and because that is how your problem is changing at a constant rate. So give me an example using either each, every, or per, but related to your life. Give me an example of something.
The cost of a school banquet is $95 plus $50.
Nope, related to your life.
Oh, what do you mean? I paid for the banquet.
How many of you went to the football game?
Which one?
How much was your ticket?
$10.
Okay, so $10 per ticket. How many of you went to the football game? How many of you ate something at the concession stand? How much was it?
$2.
50 cents.
Okay, so for what?
I probably spent I got hot Cheetos.
Okay, so hold on. It was how much for your hot Cheetos?
Hot Cheetos, it was $1.
So $1 for each hot Cheeto. Then what? What else did you buy?
I didn't buy anything because I can't wait in that line.
Okay, how much would a Powerade or Gatorade be? Just make it up.
$3.
Okay, so can you say $2 for each Gatorade? What else? How many of you go to the mall and buy clothes? How much do your shirts cost? Okay, $20 for every shirt. Okay, how many of you have ever bought shoes? How much do your shoes cost?
Like $180.
Okay,
$5.
$150 for every pair of shoes. Got it? Do you understand how each, every, and per are relatable to everything you do each day? Okay? When you eat lunch, you're using slope, believe it or not. Like, I know that this is silly, and a lot of you don't believe you use algebra every day. And I'll be the first to tell you, you don't sit there and you don't go, okay, so x plus 275 equals the total of my $5 in my pocket. Nobody does this. And if you have a teacher that says you do this, they're liars. Okay? But you do use the math side of algebra. You use the logic side of algebra. If you have $5 and you know you want a Frito pie that's $2.75, you're going to figure out how much you have left, right? Because you're going to make sure they give you the right amount of change, or you're going to make sure you have enough money to buy a Powerade. Would you agree? That is algebra. Figuring out what you have left over is always algebra. Okay? But now we're taking it up a step and we're talking about slope words. So, instead of just buying one Frito pie, you might need to buy 2. But you know that one costs $1, so how much will 2 cost? Okay, you just did slope because you're constantly changing at a specific rate for your Frito pies. Okay? If you wanted 5 Frito pies, how much was it going to cost? $5. Okay? That is really cheap. But do you understand what I'm saying? You're using the logic of algebra. You might not use algebra in and of itself, but you use the critical thinking, the math processing behind it. Understand? So looking at this problem, the cost of a school banquet is $95 plus $15 for each person attending. What directly varies with each other, and what does it mean in the situation? Now again, what did I say direct variation means? It starts in the origin and it goes hand in hand with slope. So here it says what directly varies. That means we need to find the slope. So the way to find slope is to look for the slope. words. There's 3 of them. What are they?
Per each and every.
Per, each, and every. Is there a slope word in this problem?
Yes.
What?
Each.
Go box it in.
There's just one.
The one that actually has math around it. That's probably going to be beneficial to us, right? Okay, so what we do with our slope words is it's very similar to whenever we were breaking down word problems. If it said plus, we looked in front and behind it to see what we were adding together, right? If it said minus, we looked in front and behind the minus sign to see what we were minusing. The same thing with our slope words. We've got each up here, so we need to look in front and behind to figure out what it's talking about. Right? And what does it tell me?
15 for each person.
15 for every one. Right? 15 for every one. Now remember, slope is always what over what? Rise over run. It's always a fraction. So if we're trying to find slope here, we better be able to find a fraction within our problem. Anywhere you see a slope word, that is your fraction bar. Does everybody understand that? Yes, ma'am. Okay? So whatever comes in front goes on top. Whatever comes after goes on bottom. Now, here we've got 15 over 1. Now put that in the meaning of the context of the problem. It's not just 15 over 1. It's 15 what?
Dollars.
$15. What? Per one person. So, our slopes always have to be simplified. Remember that whenever we're doing rise over run, when we're finding our fractions, we always press math, enter, enter. So that's what we're also going to do in our word problems. We're always going to try to get it down to where it's like a number over 1. It's called a unit rate. You've heard that before back in 6th grade, okay? But what we're going to try to do is always get our slopes to something over 1. And if we do that, we automatically know the meaning of our slope. We know the constant change in our problem. So the constant change for this problem is $15 per person. Are we okay with that? Okay, let's look at number 2, because we're going to change it up a bit. Number 2, do I have anybody that wants to read? No? Okay. You have saved $60,000 for college and will attend for 8 semesters. The cost of college directly varies per semester you attend. What is the slope and what does it mean in this situation? Let's stop there first. What is it asking us to find?
Cost.
The what? The slope, and what does it mean? Okay? So we've got to go look for slope words. Do you see one? Per. And what does directly varies also mean? Slope. So is that what comes first? Or does that just mean slope? It just means slope. So it's all the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. It's like redundant. Directly varies per. They all mean slope. Okay? So when I find my slope word, I look in front and where? Behind. Right? So what does this slope mean? What does it mean? What am I going to be finding? Cost per semester. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to write cost over what? Semester. But I'm going to go find the math that belongs to cost and the math that belongs to semester. Everybody understand that? Okay, so what is the math of cost? $60,000. So that's going to come first. 60,000 over how many semesters?
8.
8 semesters first, right? Okay, so 60,000 over 8. But I talked to you about this. We need it to be in a unit rate, which means we try to simplify it to be something over 1. So in our calculators, we need to type in 60,000 divided by 8. And does it give you a whole number? Yes, so that means that whole number is understood over 1. So what does it give you?
7,500.
Okay, 7,500, which would mean that's the cost. So that's going to be money. 7,500 per what?
Semester.
1 semester. So college is kind of expensive, right? Would you agree?
Yes.
7,500 per semester, per 1 semester. Okay? Now, This is, I actually took this from Baylor, so this is a private institution. It is a lot more expensive than a public institution. Okay, so don't get your hopes down. If you want to go to college, it can be a lot cheaper than this. And you can also start now in applying for scholarships, so you can get this money paid for, by the way, just so you know. Okay, but this is how much my husband had to pay for college. And that's why I know it, because we're paying it off still. Okay? $60,000 for 8 semesters. But he did walk away with a great diploma. Okay? However, what if he had a life change and he could only stay at Baylor for 2 years, which is how many semesters?
4.
4 semesters. How much would 4 semesters have costed him? So I could take this divided by 2 because 8 semesters is half, or 4 semesters is half of 8. Or I could take what? I mean, I heard you.
7,500.
Okay, so this is per 1 semester. I could take 7,500, multiply it by 4 to get my total, right? What is it?
I thought 30,000.
$30,000. Now, Christian said, why don't you just half what the total was? Well, why could we half it? Because that's correct.
Semesters.
4 semesters is half of 8. So if I need to find half of 60,000, what is it? What's half of 60? 30. So $30,000. Does everybody see what I did there?
Yeah.
The other way to approach this is something very similar to what y'all learned last year, and y'all were very good at this. So I'm just going to show you. Again, remember, we're doing cost over semester. So, if I have 60,000, over 8, what does that equal over 4? So, X is my unknown, right? How much does it cost? Then what did y'all do last year? You remember? What is this called?
Butterfly.
The butterfly. Cross multiply and then divide. So 60,000 times 4. Do it in your, I'm just giving you multiple ways to approach these problems. 60,000 times 4 is?
I don't know.
Yes, you do, because your calculator is going to tell you. 240,000. What's 8 times X?
Yeah.
Now, what would I do to solve this? Divide by 8. And what do you get?
Yeah, 30,000.
30,000. So there are multiple ways to approach this problem. Okay? You can approach it through proportions. That's what that is. You can approach it through unit rates and multiplying. Or you can approach it through logic like Christian did. If 4 is half of 8, then we obviously got to find half of 60,000. Okay? Understand? Give me a thumbs up if you feel good about this. Okay? Let's look at the last problem. Because Coach Williams really wants to know how much money she's going to make this basketball season. Okay? So, y'all walk me through number 3. Coach Williams' earning varies directly as the number of basketball games she works. If she earns $400 working 22 games, how much money would she make if she worked 60?
Yeah.
So, bless you. First and foremost, it's asking me to find what?
Slope.
How much money she earned?
Does she earn? Okay? Now, can I figure that out if I don't start with something else?
No.
I got to start with the math they gave me, right? And what does the very first sentence say?
Coach Williams.
Yes, keep going.
Earning varies directly.
What does varies directly mean?
Slope.
Slope. So if that's my slope, what's in front of it?
Earning.
And what's after?
Number of everybody in the game.
Okay, so slope is what? We've got money over what?
Over games.
Games. Now let's put math to it. How much money did they give me?
400.
400 per what?
22.
22. Now let's find that meaning. Okay? The only way I can find that meaning is to get it down to a unit rate, which means I've got to simplify. 400 divided by 22 is what?
18.1889.
Okay, so it's math. It's money. So how many decimals can I have?
2.
Only 2. So how much money do I make per game?
$18.18.
Okay, and then per game. Now that I know I make $18.18 per game, what can I answer?
How much money you would earn in 60 games?
How much money I can earn in 60 games. What am I going to do with those numbers?
Multiply.
18.18 times 60.
Ooh, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
What was it?
Yeah, you need to stay here for a while.
How much is it?
1,000.
1090.
0.80.